Welcome to the Project with Sam and Lewis, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam,
And I'm Lewis.
and on today's episode, we're going to be doing our very first sequel, I think, Lewis.
Yeah, we are. We're revisiting an old classic.
Yeah, Project A Part 2 from 1987.
1987, yep. Released 4 years after Project A, which we covered last year.
Yeah, it was a really big hit, I think, wasn't it? One of the highest grossing Hong Kong movies.
Yeah.
I think for inflation,
I thought you meant the Project episode was a big hit. And I was like, well, yeah, I like that episode.
That's the other thing. So if you haven't listened to that one, you don't need to listen to it for this one.
No.
But, for story context.
Yeah, and, if you enjoy this, then you can go back and listen to that one if you haven't. 'Cause it'll be, I imagine, fairly similar.
Yeah, you'd hope so. But if you do want to skip ahead at all, skip straight to that. We've got a couple of letters to read out at the end.
Yes, we do, which I haven't read yet. No. So I'm quite excited for that.
We've got time codes if you do want to skip ahead. But before that, how are you, Lewis?
Yeah, not bad. It was kind of weird because I don't think we've ever recorded on a Sunday before.
Yeah, so this is the day before it comes out, which is quite close to the mark, but we've had a couple of reasons. I had a COVID test, still a little bit sniffly, as you might hear from the nasally or opposite of nasally, whatever the voice is.
Nasally,
yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, did come back negative. Otherwise,
yes,
we were like,
I did.
"Oh, the hell are we going to do this?"
And you watched the film this morning, and I watched it last night.
Yeah, I started watching it earlier this week, and then you said, "I'm going to have to do a COVID test tomorrow," and I was like, I'm going to go to bed then. So I finished it off this morning. Interesting, I started watching it subtitled, finished watching it dubbed.
So I watched the whole thing subtitled, and then we found about half an hour ago that it was on YouTube dubbed in full. So if anyone wants to watch it prior to listening to this, you can go and watch it on YouTube if you want to.
Weirdly, I watched it on Facebook, which
it's very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I legally downloaded a copy, which I couldn't match the subtitles up with properly. So...
Oh, is that the one you put on our shared drive? Yeah, I tried to watch that and it had no subtitles.
You have to add the file on, and I did it, and then I tried to Chromecast it to watch it on the TV. It didn't work, and I was like, nah. But we're all ready. We've got our tuxedos on. We're ready to record.
Yeah, just adjust my bow tie.
Yeah, we're going to talk about climate change.
Are we?
We're going to talk about how poor people are bad, and we're going to have our legions of followers try and interpret what we say.
Well, all we need to do is make a contract with Spotify, and they'll kick out popular musicians.
Yeah, growing apparently
favour us.
2 billion revenue they've lost in the last week. I think it was. So
God, not to mention any names.
But
no, a rival podcast of ours.
It's our biggest rival, biggest competitor.
Yeah,
I mean, arguably it's everyone's biggest competitor. So it's podcast or not, we're all competing with he who shall not be named.
You all know who we mean. James Corden.
Oh, bloody hell.
Has James Corden got a podcast?
I bet he's got about 4.
I bet he's got a podcast.
When I was doing the best of, it's like talking about him being in Wind of the Willows, I'm like, I bet he's going to be one of those fucking frogs.
Yeah,
I think I've been to the pub before that episode, to be honest. Anyway, Lewis, have you found any project news for today?
Yes, so I've got a couple. One you sent me earlier this week.
That's right, yeah.
Always on the clock, old Sam with project.
Every headline that comes up, I'm like, is there a project in that title?
Yes.
And if there is, we have to cover it.
So, we'll do that one first. Arnold Schwarzenegger teases mystery Project Zeus as son Joseph Boehner calls him God of the Sky.
Wow.
This article, by the way, you can tell they didn't know much.
Right, I didn't read it. I just send them to you and then don't read them.
Yeah, there's a cool poster of Arnold Schwarzenegger as Zeus.
Yes, I think I saw that there.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks pretty cool. He's got some armor on.
He looks pretty cool, yeah. And he
kind of unrecognizable a little bit.
A little, until you get really close in the eyes. But he's got a big white beard, which he doesn't usually have a beard.
Kind of like the Zeus from Disney Hercules, isn't it? They're going. I know that's kind of the vibe for Zeus. But,
and it says February 2022, which is
cool.
In the
but
next
it's not called Project Zeus. Is
no, there's not much information on it. A lot of his article talks about a car crash he was in recently, and the fact that he got divorced a few months ago.
Right. Okay. Cool. All relevant, of course.
Yeah, but it's not really clear what this project is. Is it a film? Is it like a
series.
Yeah.
I guess. Podcast, another rival podcast. The Zeus Project.
And yeah, basically all we know is that Arnold Schwarzenegger stuck this poster up on Instagram of him as Zeus saying February 2022. Some people, I think they mentioned that some people think it might be a Super Bowl thing.
Right, okay.
Because
What,
the
like
Super Bowl's in February?
like an advert maybe? Even.
Yeah, like the February 2022. Or it could be a Super Bowl ad for a Zeus film he's doing.
Right, okay, yeah. So it's basically saying it's either going to drop in February or we'll find out more in February.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
But it's weird that this poster does have February 22.
Yeah,
2022 on it.
I reckon it's probably an advert for like an energy company or something.
Yeah.
Or like, what's the, like Duracell? Like, oh, even Zeus is good.
Yeah, there is like electric around Zeus on the title. So
it would be anyway, I guess. But
yeah, but it does look cool. It does make me think like, you know what? Arnold Schwarzenegger Zeus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we've had a Zeus-centric film. A lot of the time, he's like he's like a secondary character. But then Zeus is kind of fucked up because he like turned into a swan and then like had sex with someone or whatever.
He does that a lot.
There's lots of. I mean, all that whole Percy Jackson thing is basically.
I've never seen Percy Jackson.
The concept of it, from what I've seen, is that there's so many of these half-blood people that they like have their own community where they all train and stuff.
So all Zeus's bastard children.
No, all just like one of them's Poseidon's child and all this sort of thing. But they don't like say, oh, they like assaulted women. It's more like, oh, they've had lots of lovers, and you're like, yeah, okay. How many did they trick?
I'd like a new wave of like Greek mythology films.
It's really like accurate.
Yeah, like I mean, like
really accurate.
Troy was fun. It wasn't very accurate at all. And it does the classic, like, oh, Achilles and his friend were really close friends. They shared a tent because they were close friends.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, actually, Unmatched, the board game that I've spoken about a few times, they've released it's Battle of Legends Volume 2. So it's 4 other characters from history, pop culture, all that sort of thing. The first one was like King Arthur, Medusa, that sort of thing, and one of them's Achilles, and it's got his mate in it as his like sidekick. And apparently it is quite accurate in terms of like if the guy is the other guy, I can't remember what his name is, like Pericles or something. If his character's dead, it like really affects Achilles and stuff like that. But
yeah, that sounds quite cool.
Yeah,
because I was thinking in that sort of game, Achilles could just be really like overpowered.
I think that's the idea. So he's pretty overpowered until you kill his sidekick, which kind of makes sense. It's got a little twist on it.
Just go after his sidekick,
basically. Yeah.
Who is it? Is it Hector? No. Paris? No.
No.
Agamemnon? No. I'm not sure. Patroclus? That's his cousin. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know who I was looking
at. It made me realize I've kind of used to know quite a lot about Greek mythology.
Yeah, things get pushed out of one ear.
Yeah.
As new information comes in. Anyway, that's a fun idea, isn't it? Arnie is with his accent as Zeus as well.
Yeah,
like, I know most of the time they've got English or American accents.
Yeah, so he should have a Greek accent, I guess.
Yeah, and he should be like more Greek looking. Like most of the time they have like Henry Cavill was Perseus, I think.
It's
he's got dark hair.
I feel like Hollywood's perfect Zeus is like maybe I'm thinking because of Thor, but like
Anthony Hopkins. Yeah.
His Odin is basically what they think Thor is.
Yeah. Zeus.
Yes. Bloody hell.
And you got another one as well somewhere.
Yes. So
somewhere.
Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg's botched cryptocurrency project is reportedly for sale.
Oh.
So everyone's all about that cryptocurrency these days.
Yeah.
And
the old NFTs as well.
Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg tried to get in on it, and it's not going well.
It's a surprise. I mean, I know that like he's doing that metaverse, which is kind of like a weird VR thing.
Yeah, like Meta's
not really
kind of it's stretched out to beyond just Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah, Meta is just the title, but metaverse is like a kind of like Second Life thing, I think.
Yeah,
not being super well received, so I'm not really surprised about this, I suppose. But
yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the issue is with this.
Probably just the fact that the crypto market is so oversaturated now that
and not fully regulated.
Not really at all, really. A
Um,
lot of it, like the ones that have celebrities promoting them, it just feels like a pyramid scheme. It's like, give us your money and it will be worth something, I promise. Which is exactly what NFTs are, in my opinion. But
yes, but I'm always happy to see Mark Zuckerberg fail at something.
Yes, me too.
Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. Oh shit, we're gonna get taken off Facebook.
I know.
Now,
I was gonna
we?
say. Well, actually, our podcasts are hosted on Facebook as well. I did a couple of little bits and pieces here and there. They get posted up along with everything else, which is fun. I don't know how many listens we get. I don't know if there's any way of checking. But
if that becomes a thing, I've always liked Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, we call him Big Mark.
The Zuck.
Yeah, I was going to try something different. But it didn't really work, did it? Big Mark Z.
He really zucks.
He's a big Zucker.
Yes, but there's not really too much to say about that. I can't say I'm exactly an expert on cryptocurrency. No. I'm kind of aware of it.
I did Dogecoin, but I didn't put much in. I put like 15 quid in. I've taken it out now.
Sure. I put £10 into Dogecoin and then couldn't get into my account again. So,
well, if it goes up, you're in luck.
Yeah, but I won't be able to get into it.
I did GME after the GameStop one. Then. I put $200 in. This is about a year and a half ago, whenever it was. And I recently was like, I need money. And I took $53 out. And that was it. So lost.
You lost 150 quid.
$150, but yeah. So that's my investment there. But at that point, it was never. You have to put a lot in to make money, really.
Yeah, it's
the small percentages make it. You know,
unless you're doing all the mining and stuff, it's just rich people getting richer.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's why. Do you see there was an interview? Paris Hilton was on the Jimmy Fallon show, I want to say. And apparently there's just a segment where they're both talking about the NFTs that they own, like those board chimp ones.
Yeah.
And the audience are like, woo! And it's like,
such a big scam.
It's just, yeah, it doesn't mean that it's oversaturated already. Like I'm seeing adverts for weird ones that someone's made up. Like I'd love to make one. I'm sure it's not that difficult. You just have to know a bit of technical know-how.
Yeah.
And someone might buy it and then it's like, cool, I've just sold my shit artwork for like a fortune. But
yeah, again, I can't say I'm an expert on it, but I feel like I know enough that I'm just gonna stay away.
Yeah, I think that's a good. It's a good standpoint there. Nice, some good topical ones there.
Yeah,
as it is, news should be topical.
Yeah,
really,
we haven't got any. Well, maybe Project Zeus will be the title of this Arnold Schwarzenegger project.
It'd be fantastic if it was. Yeah,
Project Zeus. That does sound like something.
It's probably just going to be called like Zeus, God of Thunder, or something like that.
Well, the poster was just Zeus. So it might just go in Zeus.
It's probably just that then. But well, if there's nothing else to add, we can move on to the main topic.
So, Project A Part 2, 1987. The Google description's a bit weird, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think after.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've looked it up.
Sergeant Dragon Ma soon discovers that his entire unit, except for She King, accepts bribes. Dragon is forced to confront Tiger Owl with only She King and 3 of his friends from the Marine Police.
Right, okay. I mean, that's like the first 20 minutes or so.
But it's not even the first 20 minutes. It's like 10 minutes to the like half-hour mark.
Yeah,
because you've got some stuff before that, and then you've got the rest of the film after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's what sets the whole thing in motion, kind of thing. Because in the first film, we can recap it very quickly, shall we? Dragon Ma. He's in the Navy.
And
then he becomes part of the police, but it's kind of like a naval.
The Navy
police.
gets shut down.
Oh yeah,
because they keep getting fucked over by the pirates.
Yes, the pirates are the big antagonists of the first one, aren't they? Yeah. Although there's a bit of organised crime as well.
Yeah, but they're kind of close with the pirates, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, they're making deals in the cafe.
Yeah, and then he kind of goes rogue a bit.
Yeah, and then he gets the admiral on board, and then he does this Project A, which involves because he's trying to get back some hostages or something.
Yeah,
they go to Pirate Island. There's quite a lot of cool stuff going on.
Lots of classic like Jackie Chan fighting. And
and then it culminates in a big fight with Sam Pow or something. Was he called Sam Pow? The guy who was voiced by Danny Trejo in the dub. And then he gets blown up by some bombs, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets wrapped up in a rug and they throw grenades in there.
And then they just like escape. And I think a lot of the pirates are like in a big net or something. Is
yeah,
that right?
they literally like on a raft going through the sea and all the pirates just in a net.
Like a big like fish just floating. And then it kind of just ends and you're
it
like,
was
cool.
good fun. I was thinking before that, like, part of me wanted to go back to that episode just to see what I rated it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Because I was thinking, actually, I really enjoyed that. And I think it's one of the films I've enjoyed most that we've watched.
I think I'd probably go like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, I think 8 would probably be what I'd give it now in hindsight. But yeah, who knows at the time.
Yeah.
But this picks up pretty much straight after.
Yeah, so we even... I'll go into details in a sec, but we literally
the intro is a recap, isn't it?
The first minute is just goes through the events of the first film. I guess in case you haven't seen it,
it's a bit like we watched the trailer for part 2 just before we recorded, as we always do. We don't always watch that trailer. We watch the relevant trailer.
No, but I've always been watching the Project A Part 2 trailer.
Oh, you've been looking at your
I'm
phone
glad
while
that it's finally worked out.
But it was like a stunts reel, the trailer, and it's a bit like this as well. It was a lot of the big set pieces and stuff.
Yeah, so this, as I said, released 4 years after the original, which we said was a big success.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan directing again, starring. The first one also starred Sammo Hung and Yun Bao,
who are quite visibly, noticeably missing.
Yes, they were doing their own film.
That's right.
Directed by Sammo Hung, called Eastern Condors.
Yes, I've got that here, which was released in the same year.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame they couldn't get them back.
Yeah, because Sammo was a real big
character,
really, wasn't he? Because he was like kind of like his Han Solo, but like more clumsy. Like he was a comic relief.
And I feel it was all amicable because Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung then worked together for most of their careers.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he was the stunt coordinator along. They were all part of the Jackie Chan stunt team.
Yeah,
they used to do the operas together when they were younger, which is very gymnastic and theatrical.
Yeah,
and I think one of the other main actors in this, I'm not sure which one it was. He was one of the opera guys with them as well. So there is like there is a history among the cast. It's just not the same guys as
So this Jackie Chan, Maggie Chung is the next, who plays a character called Maggie.
Yes, well, I think if you look on IMDb, she's got a Chinese name on there. Right. But I think it's in the dub and the translation. She's called Maggie.
Oh, okay.
It might be that. I'm not 100% sure.
And her and Rosamund Kwan play like these two girls that are close friends who are kind of anti-colonial. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, and it kind of comes to a kind of strange part at the end, but I think it's because Jackie Chan's quite pro-China.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where he kind of does a little mini speech about...
He's very like anti-British
because at this point it's late 1800s, would you say? Maybe early 1900s at this point.
Yeah.
And it's very colonial. There's a couple of like British officers that are in the higher ups of the army and police and stuff that are there. And there's a group of rebels throughout this, and they're kind of portrayed as bad guys a little bit at the start, but then the way that Jackie talks about it at the end, he's very like, I agree with your message. Yeah. And it's kind of like, I agree with the fact that the revolutionaries should succeed, which is what happened.
Yeah, there's kind of
pro the current government.
Although this was released whilst Hong Kong was still British, wasn't it?
Yes, well, that's probably another part of it.
I feel like it's very much
that's kind of what
the feeling that China's better for Hong Kong than Britain.
Yeah, because even the people...
I'm not going to get into politics.
No. But we know that shortly after that, within 10 years, it was
12 years later that Hong Kong was then handed back over.
Okay, cool.
So it was like coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, had a box office of $18 million, which is pretty good for a Hong Kong film.
Yeah, right. What are you like? US box office.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then. So I wrote down.
Was that adjusted for?
It's not hard to say. I couldn't find the budget.
If it is adjusted, that's really good.
Yeah.
If it's not adjusted, that's really good. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think it did similarly well as the first one. I think because Project A was so popular in Hong Kong, the sequel just kind of did well. And so the first one had 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.4 on IMDb to give you a wheelhouse.
Yeah. I think it's probably a little bit less, I'd imagine, this one.
Yeah, but not much. It's 71% Rotten Tomatoes and 7.1 IMDb. So a little less, but pretty much in the same wheelhouse.
I think the couple of bits of reviews that I read on IMDb, just scrolling through, people there seems to be an impression that people don't quite like this as much as the original. And I can kind of see why. Like, it's not quite as original, and the story's a little bit more. I mean, the fact they don't go to a pirate island at the end and stuff, it's
a bit disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. And the pirates are in this, and I like their inclusion in this. I think it's done. That stuff is handled really well.
It's a good sequel, but it's never going to be as good as the first.
It's a little bit convoluted with the number of moving parts in the party. There's a scene in particular where it's quite farcical and it's done quite well, but there's 4 or 5 different parties all involved.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like,
I have no idea. I kept forgetting who each group of people were and what their motivations were.
Interesting that we both watched most of the film in different sub-dub scenarios, because it might have come across differently. Because I think you said, Lewis, didn't you? There might be something that comes up where you watched the first part.
It's actually, I'll mention. So there's a bit early on. I'll say it when we get to that bit.
We'll move through this stuff, but
so as you said, it starts with like a nice recap and like a bit of a silly song over the top.
I think it's the same song sung by Jackie Chan, but not the same song. But there's a lot of the songs he sings.
Because I saw it in the credits.
Because the song that's in the credits, I think that's the one that we liked from the first film, isn't it?
Right,
I think it's the same song.
I did enjoy the one in the credits. But so we kind of starts with the pirates. Who've been like washed up somewhere.
I think based on what we were just talking about, because I forgot they were all in a net until today. I think like 5 or 6, however many it is, they are the ones who didn't get captured, and they wash up on a beach, and they're all like bedraggled.
Yeah, and they're basically really angry with Dragon Ma, Jackie Chan's character.
They do like a revenge oath, don't they?
Yeah, like one of them like cuts their hair, and they
cut off like his big plait.
Yeah,
and he puts it in his hand, and they all bleed on it from their hands.
Yeah, and
they bite their thumbs, don't they? They don't
something like that.
They like bleed into it.
They basically agreed Dragon Ma must die.
Yes.
And this also made me realize, like, this is literally set straight after.
Yes, yeah.
Like the events follow like the next week essentially.
Yeah. Well, I think that is immediately after, and then it's a little skip, maybe a week or 2. Yeah.
So that's just kind of the tease in the start, and then we are at a restaurant.
Yeah. See, I didn't understand this bit at first, but we're basically introduced to Chun, who is one of the inspector he gets a promotion after this kind of bit here. And he's making a dodgy dealing in a restaurant with a couple other cops and stuff. And it turns out what they're doing is staging a robbery so that he can get an arrest.
Yeah, to make like himself look good.
Yeah, because they're part of the corrupt cops. Most of the cops in this district, or at least most of Hong Kong, it's not really clear. They're in the pocket of all the criminals.
Yeah, I did think between this and the first one, I don't think Jackie Chan's got a very good opinion of the Hong Kong police, because like both films, they are kind of incompetent and corrupt.
Well, I think in the first one, although the pirates are the bad guys, there's lots of bits where the fact he's handcuffed at one point and he's climbing up stuff.
Yeah,
he's had some run-in with the cops, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's constantly falling out with the cops. But so
two robbers going.
2 guys, they rob like a jewelry shop, and a man gets shot or something.
No, he's an old man. He has like a heart attack because he's like stressed. Yeah, and then he dies, and then this inspector jumps out and like arrests them. Yeah, immediately.
And all like the journalists are like, "Oh wow, get a picture." And
they're like Lightning Chun, they call him, because he's so quick on it. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, they say, were you acting on a tip off?" And he's like, "No, I wasn't."
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, the old man's dead." And then the 2 robbers are like, "Oh, we didn't sign up for this," and start running away. And then he shoots them.
Because he's like, "Oh, guess it's a murder charge as well now." Because it seems like it doesn't seem like a very good long-term plan. But he hires these people to do small crimes for him, and then actually punishes them for it.
The first thing we hear him say is, their families will be compensated if they go to jail. Yeah. So I guess it was like a short sentence, and they were going to get money for it.
But then when he died,
it was a murder thing. Yeah. Although it was very clear that they didn't actually, it'd be manslaughter, I guess, but it's 1800s.
But anyway, he shoots the 2 robbers as they're like running
he just
down
shoots,
the street.
and then I think there's a photo of him in the newspaper, like looking like shocked.
Yeah,
and he's putting his hand up, like
he doesn't want to get pictured.
Yeah, because I think, and then the boss, then it goes to all the bosses, the admirals, and all that.
Yeah, and
they're really aware of what's going on.
They know he's corrupt, but kind of figuring out the best way to play it. Yeah, because he's also the only policeman with a gun.
Yes,
They make a point because of his
Yeah.
specific role, but they don't like guns. He's the only one with guns. They're a bit cautious around him.
That's the thing, yeah. And he's like a detective. He's wearing plain clothes, isn't he?
Yeah,
and all the rest that most of the police are in. They've got like old-fashioned hats, and they have like
a
truncheons.
green uniform.
Yeah, occasionally they've got like the riot shields, like they're kind of like old-fashioned wooden riot shields. But yeah, he's the only one. With
they want to replace him with Dragon Ma because after Project A,
they say, "I have a man in mind, the man who carried out Project A successfully."
Yeah, which is the only time Project A, the title is mentioned in this. Like there isn't a Project A 2.
It would have been quite good if at one point, like even at the start when he's like, "I need to get the Kingpin," if he was like, "This is my Project A2."
Yeah,
but it doesn't happen.
So yeah, then we get a big opening credits thing with like Navy marching, with
and
Dragon Ma at the front.
There was stuff like that in the first one, wasn't there? Where it's lots of, you see it even now with Chinese military. It's all very, very well timed. Like they're marching in time. We only get it in this one bit, but it's quite, intricate.
I think it's again showing off that the Navy are like superior. They're very good at what they do.
Yes, you're probably right. Yeah.
But yeah, then the police commissioner takes Dragon Ma aside and was like, "We want you to basically be this corrupt guy second in charge."
Yes, he says he's his assistant, which is quite demeaning. But
yeah, but is it the translation as well?
Yeah, exactly. And I think so. Chun has 3 districts, and they play it to him like they're relieving him of one of his districts and giving it to Dragon.
Yeah,
but realistically, they're just trying to get rid of some of his power, kind of thing, aren't they?
And he's a bit reluctant because he doesn't think he's qualified, but as like for his duty, he takes the job.
Because his whole thing, he's very like, he's like the only honest cop. Well, he's not, but he's one of the few.
Yeah.
And he actually has with him, what is it, 3 or 4? 3 of his mates?
3 of his friends.
Yeah. And they're all wearing their outfits. So like, they've got like flat caps, like Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
They've got like suit jackets all rolled up to the sleeves, which is like the most 80s look. And even at the end, when you see Jackie doing the singing, he's wearing like a big, like Miami Vice coat, like all rolled up at the sleeves. And it's like, it's funny how the fashions of the time influenced the historical, in inverted commas, fashions in the film. And you see it now, like everyone's wearing slim suits, even though it's like the 1980s.
I remember what one stood out for me in that sense was the second Fantastic Beasts film, where like Dumbledore, who like in the 90s is wearing like old robes, but they go back to the 30s and Jude Law's got like a really nice
like
suit,
slim fit almost,
slim fit suit, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like, when did he decide he's just going to start wearing robes?
We can see in the next one, The Secrets of Dumbledore. His secret is that he aged 25 years. No, whatever, you know what I mean?
His secret is
200 years.
He put on a bit of weight and his slim fitting suit couldn't fit anymore, so he got like a
Homer
movie.
With his movie.
Yeah, anyway.
Can't wait to find out those secrets that Dumbledore's keeping under his robe. That was a bit not what I intended there, but
anyway, they don't want the inspector to know that they know he's corrupt.
Yes.
So they go through everything. He gets like medals and stuff for finding those people.
Yeah.
But then they tell him, "Oh yeah, Dragon Ma is going to take one of your districts. Yep. Here's the plan." Dragon arrives and they're like, "Yes, you're going to work together." This bit when I was still watching the subtitle, they kept being like, "Thank you, sir." In English.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Yes, they do that. So thank you, sir, and a couple other things. Like
a couple of phrases.
Bye now and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do use English.
Which I guess is like in Hong Kong at the time, that was the way that they spoke.
Yeah, because I presume a lot of the governor and the leaders would have spoke English.
And another thing that's interesting, the English characters in this, like the couple of higher ups, is the warden of a prison later on.
Yeah.
And the governor or whatever, the guy who's got the birthday party.
Yeah, the governor,
Yeah. I was trying to figure out if I think the actors are speaking English and then they're dubbed back into is it Mandarin or Cantonese?
Except this point I was still watching subtitled and I was like, they're being dubbed over here. Like the dubbing is kind of weird.
Is it I didn't
like it's the classic like voices don't suit the characters at all for a lot of it. Like, I think Jackie Chan does his own, but all the secondary characters are just like, they doesn't sound right at all. So yeah, they've now set up that Dragon's going to be working with this corrupt inspector, and don't think Dragon knows he's corrupt.
No, I don't think he knows at this point, because there's a part where he goes into the office. Oh no, there's a bit with the flower girls and stuff before then.
Oh no, that's not yet.
Okay, I've got that bit before where she's making the political speech.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
Oh no, that's that bit's next. Where this flower girl
that
Maggie
follows on them going to the police station.
Yeah, Maggie's like on like a stand in the street, like talking about how British colonialist government is bad and we need to overthrow them.
It's Cantonese, I just looked it up.
Okay, cool. And then the police arrive and they kind of run off so they can't find them.
Yeah, because they're the rebels, they're the revolutionaries, they're trying to overthrow the colonial.
And they basically go into the restaurant where Dragon and his 3 friends are.
They're selling flowers to try and raise money for
the revolution, which is kind of weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is, but one of the people they refer to back in mainland China is a real political figure. I can't remember what his name was.
What, like
one of the like revolutionaries or whatever? Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but let's see if I can find it while we're talking. There's a funny bit where the 4 of them, the 3 police and Jackie Chan, they cover for the
they buy flowers. The police turn up and be like, "Oh, we know you're selling flowers," and they're like, "We're not selling flowers. Like, I can see you sold flowers to those 4 guys." And Jackie Chan's like, "Oh no, these flowers are just so we can reckon each other. We're pen pals, and we've never met before. Hi girls, didn't see you over there. Come sit with us." And the police are like, "This is obviously bullshit." But
one of the guys goes, "I'm Mr. A, this is Mr. B, this is Mr. C, and I'm Mr. D."
Yeah.
It's like he's not even made up names for them. It's very funny.
But I'm like, that's quite a good plan, because then it'd explain why they didn't recognise each other and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, Sun Yat-sen. Do you remember that name? I think he was the first. He was the founding father, effectively, of the Republic of China. They mentioned him at one point. They're like, "We've just come from him, and he's telling us to do this."
Fair enough.
Like name dropping, like George Washington. I suppose, kind of,
But anyway, so this is when they kind of explain that they're really like pro-China, anti-British. This is the bit where I then, like, quite early, then switched into the dubbed, and it's very less pro-China, anti-British, and it's more like, we don't agree with the government's policies.
Right, okay.
And I was like, because I watched that bit, it's
like,
on both.
Tell us why you don't agree.
Yeah, whereas I felt the subtitles was quite clear.
It was pretty.
On the dub, it's suddenly like, oh, we don't agree with what the government are doing.
They talk about like colonial overlords and stuff, kind of thing.
They don't say colonial at all in the dubbed one.
Interesting, because I suppose at the time it would have been a bit of a
sword sticking point.
Yeah, totally.
So it's interesting. That difference.
Cool.
The rest of it I wouldn't know how different it is.
Well, if anything comes up, we might have a mistranslation.
I imagine it's more subtle aspects. Like, I only noticed that because I saw it in both.
Yeah. But the when the women find out they're all police, because they're bitchy about the police, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like, all police are corrupt.
And they're like, "We're police," and they show their badges, and they're like, "Oh," and they're like, "No, but we're like good police."
Yeah.
And then the women leave, and as they're leaving with their money box, which is like a lockbox thing,
they get mugged.
They get mugged, and then Jackie like parkours after them and like stops the people.
And he's got the money, and then all the police turn up, and he's like, "Oh, I've just apprehended. I've just got these people. They were mugging ladies," and the police are like, "Where are the ladies?"
Yeah,
and they've hidden off.
The police, I suppose. Yeah.
So they all get arrested. The muggers, Jackie Chan and his friends,
and Jackie and his friends don't reveal they're police.
Yes,
it's kind of like a way of finding out how the police deal with people, unintentionally, I suppose.
And when they get to the police station, the muggers, the guy's like, "Why were you mugging?" And they go, "Because we're muggers." He's like, "Okay, well, don't mug women," and then lets them go.
Okay, that's not what I got at all.
So I remember like, what the fuck?
To be fair, there's a bit with the pirates later where they're like, "Our job is to kill." I don't know if you got that either.
I don't think so.
Right, okay. But with this bit, they basically keep saying like, "Oh, but we're like, we've been paid, we've done our pay or whatever." They're basically saying like, get so and so in, like the sergeant, whatever, and he'll verify that we're okay to do this kind of thing. It's a bit more like, I suppose, a bit more nuanced a little bit, but not like we're muggers.
That's literally it. They were like, "Why are you mugging? Because we're muggers." But yeah,
Jackie wants to make a complaint, doesn't he?
Like, let me talk to the captain.
And they take him in the back. They're like, one at a time.
Yeah, and take him in the back, and then the policeman like picks up his baton and goes, "Here's the captain."
And then he's like dodging out of the way and sliding onto chairs. But he's not really fighting them, is he? Because they're police.
Yeah, he's more self-defense.
Yeah.
And some of it's quite fun, like, because it's just in a room with like a table. There's a couple of action shots that are like the one where he like slides under the table, grabs the guy's legs with his legs and like pulls him under the table. I was like, that's cool.
There's some good like sliding, flipping kind of stuff in this.
Yeah, and then like more police arrive, and then finally he's like, I'm in charge here.
Yeah, and he's got his little like certificate or whatever.
Yeah.
And he calls them all out, and then they're all really nice to him because he's the new Chun, basically. And he's given like a gift of all the money.
Yeah, at first a couple of them like, oh, we'll resign.
Yeah.
And then kind of take it back. Yeah, and then he gets like an envelope full of money.
Yeah, it's like if you've got like a birthday like thing at an office and they all chip in money.
And he's told that every policeman except one chipped in.
Who's called Ho.
Right, okay. And then that one policeman visits him and he's like, why didn't you chip in?
Yeah.
And he was like, because I don't take bribes.
So
all that money is bribe money.
I can't afford to. And then Jackie's like, oh, you're the one honest cop.
Yeah.
And he joins his little crew. Now he's got four
friends.
4 friends and Jackie.
Yeah. And he bans bribes and gives them the money back and is like, I don't want any more bribes whilst I'm in charge.
And then there's quite a funny bit with he's like, he finds out about
the good policeman tells him who's like the mob boss, essentially.
Who's called Tiger, isn't he?
Yes.
And he basically goes to all the officers like, right, we're gonna go out and like do some stuff.
We're gonna go get him, essentially.
Oh, but I think before he agrees to go like get him, he's like, we're gonna clean up the streets. And like the old man officer's like, I don't want to go. And then like a load of the other ones are like, I'm gonna resign. And then one guy's like, I can't go, my wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
And then the other one's like, my sister's pregnant. And he's like, my wife is his sister, my sister is his wife.
Yeah.
And basically, and then loads of them are like, I want to quit. And he's like, fine, just stay here.
And it kind of reveals to Jackie who are the people that are getting paid by the people he wants to go after.
Because the only people that are like, woo, are like his 4 lot, basically.
And the good cop.
Yeah, including that guy, and then...
So he's like, fine, I'll cancel.
Like,
they basically say like, we're scared to do this.
Yeah, because they don't do any police work. They just get bribes and just like, and they as soon as he walks out, they're all just like fucking around in the office.
Yeah. So then the good cop and Jackie's friends are like bitching. Like,
they're like, we're gonna.
The good cop is like, this is what I have to deal with. Like,
he's like, it's so frustrating. We can't do any police work.
Yeah, and Jackie Chan overhears this like over a wall.
Oh yeah, and he's like, huh? He like pops his head over.
He basically like, I'm glad you're saying this because us 5 are gonna go out and get them.
Yeah,
I can trust
like,
you.
We're gonna go get Tiger tonight, and they're like, right, let's do it.
And they want to get the Navy because he's still close to the Navy. He wants to get the Navy police to help.
Yes, I didn't get this part here.
They say he's told that they are on a training mission. Right. So it's just going to be the 5 of them.
I see, because I missed all that, or maybe they didn't have it in this version. I don't know. But,
yeah.
And it also here we see the pirates are in disguise, but I didn't realize it was them because there's you see like 8 guys or whatever, and they've got like ill-fitting outfits, and they're putting their bowler hats on.
Yeah.
And one of them's got the hat on the wrong way, and they're talking about being in disguise. And that's the pirates that we saw at the start.
Is it?
Yeah, because we see them a little bit later and they're wearing the same outfits.
Right.
So they basically turned up in Hong Kong and they're trying to stay incognito, trying to find Dragon Ma, basically.
Yeah, they want to hide out until they get the opportunity to kill
him,
Dragon.
basically, yeah. And then we see all the criminal bosses, which is Tiger. There's another guy who's quite prominent, and then there's just a load of other people.
Yeah, one of them's called Wolf.
Might be Tiger and Wolf, yeah. Might be the 2 main guys.
But they're discussing Dragon Ma, being like, he seems to be a problem.
They're basically like, if he turns up, we'll kill him.
Yeah,
they say fix him in the subtitles.
Exactly.
And then they're kind of getting rolled up, and they're a bit like, let's just go get him now. And it's kind of like the same as what Jackie's done on the other end.
And then Jackie and his friends just turn up at their like clubhouse type
which
thing.
is very similar. Do you remember there was a scene in the first one?
Yeah,
which is almost identical. I mean, the fight's different, and actually the fight in that one was probably better. Do you remember? There was a lot of the stairs. Yeah. But yeah, he
turns up,
the Warren.
got the Warren, and they
spit tobacco on it
and like
stuff.
blood.
I think it's spitting tobacco.
Oh, it's very red.
Yeah, it's like orangey.
Yeah,
spit blood on it. It's like.
That's what I thought. And do you know what? I didn't actually think anything of it. I was like,
he does does a blood pact again with that. Oh yeah, and then there's a bit of a fight, isn't there?
Yeah. So like,
your phone's just gone.
I put it on battery saver and it went to dark mode.
But there's some sort of fight, and it kind of culminates in them being a bit surrounded, doesn't it?
Yeah. So his 4 friends get like captured. They're on their knees in the middle of the hull whilst he's like still fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone else is kind of subpar to Jackie, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, and he's basically it's more just like classic Jackie Chan fighting stuff. I haven't got any specific notes on it because it is just what it is.
I haven't got much on that one, but they basically start bluffing about a load of units outside, don't they?
Yeah.
One of them is like, I think it's 3 out of the 4 of the guys is kind of in on it and kind of knows what's going on, and they're like, Unit 1's outside, Unit 2's around there, and then the 4th guy's like, what are you talking about?
I thought they were on a training program.
And then
and one of them's like, shh, and he's like, oh yes, and I'm like, surely the bad guys know
I think this is when the big fight is then. After that point, they have a big...
Yeah, I've got written down actually big fight.
Yeah, I mean exactly the same. Yeah. Do you remember the bit where the fat guy tries to smother the guy with his belly?
Oh yeah,
and then he just bites his belly.
He's literally like against a pole, and he just put his belly.
He's like,
and he's
you'll
like
have this, and he's
struggling. Yeah, and then he takes a bite, and the fat guy steps off, and he's bitten off like part of his shirt.
Yeah, it like rips away. It's very funny.
It's very.
That was my standout thing.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff. It's also like some slapstick stuff.
And then just as I think this might be when the others lots are captured now.
Yeah.
Jackie's like jumping around on different bits, and then they're on the ropes,
Dragon gets captured as well. He's like on the floor.
Yeah, and they've like got him down.
Got him.
And then like
suddenly,
like 50 guys all just
the Navy.
It's like we were saying about the marching thing almost, isn't it? They all
come in from like all entrances as well.
Yeah, they're almost like kicking the doors down. I think they literally do kick a door down, don't they?
Yeah, they come in and they arrest the mob. And Wolf like
isn't the Admiral's daughter there as well? I think there's a girl there.
I think she's in charge.
But I think she's supposed to be... It's supposed to be the Sadmiral from the first one. It's a different actor. It's not the same super old guy from the first one. Because he had a daughter who got kidnapped. So I think it's supposed to be the same people.
Right. But yeah, the head mob boss. So I've got down as Wolf, not Tiger. Maybe that's a translation thing.
Right, yeah. But there's 2 guys. And then as they're being taken away, Jackie's like, no.
Oh,
uncuff them.
Before that, he's got a great line, Wolf, where when the Navy police turn up, and he's like, "The Coast Guard, what are you doing here? You're meant to be on the water. We're on the land."
Yeah. They did say something about that.
Oh, that's so silly.
And then they get arrested, and then Jackie's like, "No, let those 2 go." And he's like, "If they can beat me or whatever."
It's like if you can escape, you're free to go. And I was like, that is the dumbest thing.
And then they like. One of them like beats him up quite a lot.
And
fucking hell.
And he's fighting the 2 of them, and Dragon gets strangled quite severely at one point.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like he's getting quite because it's 2-on-1.
Yeah,
and there is actually a bit with a balcony, and it kind of he beats one guy quite quickly, does he?
Yeah, but then the other guy's like got the string around his neck, and he eventually kicks him off the balcony,
and he lands on like a massive pot, doesn't he? Like smashes it.
And I was like, why would he do that? I know they just wanted to have him fight the mob bosses, but yeah. So then they do get arrested.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a triumphant kind of return.
Yeah, we see the pirates standing there as well.
Yeah, so throughout a lot of this, they're in the background.
I think there's 5 of them.
Yeah, I think at one point it seemed like there was more when they go back to that, because they've got a little like... They're like urchins in an alley, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like Victorian urchins. And they're just like... They're constantly talking about they don't have any food or anywhere to sleep.
Yeah, they like eating rats and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to make my famous rat stew or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're back at the police station with all the mobsters.
And Chun is moving his stuff out of his office.
Yeah.
And they're all like, "Oh, don't move it too far. He's going to be back soon enough."
Yeah.
And then Jackie comes in, and I think they're all quite
surprised that he's pulled it off.
Yeah. And then Chun starts ordering them around. They don't listen, and then Jackie orders them around.
He starts like being like, "Oh, well done, Dragon. You've done well." And like, I think one of the monsters is like, "What you doing? You said we'd be safe." And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
So he practically like should have got his gun out and just shot him.
Yeah. And then he like shouts to the police like, "Put him away," and all the police just stand there. And then Dragon steps up and is like, "Put him away," and they all do it. it's like we know who they respect.
Who's won them over? I think this is the point where I stopped watching it and finished it last night.
So the next bit is when Dragon is made head of security for the governor's daughter's birthday.
Yes.
The governor, who looks like a really over-the-top Victorian English gentleman.
He's got like a big moustache, like a grey beard moustache thing.
Yeah.
He's always wearing like military uniform kind of thing.
Yeah, and we get a little scene of this is the rat stew bit of the pirates.
Yes,
and
that's
I think one of them's like really ill.
Well, I don't think they're ill at that point, or maybe.
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe they're ill later, but there's a mention with the birthday party that Chun's going to cause trouble. So they think that Chun's going to try and like give Jackie a bad name by fucking it up somehow. And we see then Chun, or someone Chun's designated, has given the revolutionaries, the rebels, a job to steal a necklace from the birthday party.
Yes.
And they'll be given money where they can buy weapons and use in their revolution kind of thing. So this is when they're kind of like antagonists a little bit.
Yeah, for most of this, I've got them referred to as Flower Girls because I didn't pick up their name at the start.
Yes, my literal next line is Flower Girls are at birthday.
Yeah, but one's called Maggie. The main one's called Maggie.
Yes. And then there's the one. So Maggie is like quite innocent, and she's brought into it. She's kind of a point of view for the revolutionaries almost.
Yeah, she's almost as well. It almost teases that she's a love interest.
Yes.
But it never quite does anything with it.
If anything, she's a love interest for like the police chief. The guy who keeps going around to see her to try and like woo her. And then the other girl, who's the other actress that you mentioned at the start, she's like well into the revolutionary. She's like, I think she's the one who was sent by the to be president of China.
But they only have one invite, and Jackie and one of his friends are like at the door letting people in.
But it seems like also the governor and the daughter don't really know what they're there for, because they're like, "Why are you not letting my friend in?" It's like, we're security here.
So like they've got one invite, but then the governor daughter and her friends come down the stairs and they know them somehow,
and they let this other girl in.
And that's also when I realized like, wait, the governor's daughter is like Chinese.
Yes, I looked it up on Wikipedia, not that specifically, but I had a read through when I picked it up again, and it says adopted daughter on there, so I guess that's
like so because he's such like an old fashioned English guy. I just kind of assumed he'd have like a white daughter.
I guess they wanted like a Hong Kong actress for the part.
Yeah,
she's quite like she's kind of like not a love interest, but she's an attractive girl.
She might as well.
She's like
she might have been like a well-known like Hong Kong model or something.
Like if you saw it now, it would be like a pop star or something. Would be in that role kind of thing. But yeah, I thought this part was quite boring, to be honest. I mean, there's some stuff that happens, but.
So you got everyone dancing, which made me laugh because, like, on the dubbed version anyway, like you have two people dancing and they're having a conversation, and they step back, and another two people come to the forefront of the camera, and they're having a completely different conversation. And you pick up bits of conversation. Some are talking about the stealing, some are having like really blasé conversations.
They're kind of swapping partners as well.
Yeah,
so different people are scheming with different people, and I think the governor is dancing with Maggie. With the revolutionary woman.
Yes, the other one.
Yeah. And he's like she's basically being used to distract him. That's her role, isn't it?
And then the daughter's dancing with the commissioner.
Right.
The short, like fat guy.
Right, okay.
And a seam on her dress gets ripped.
Right.
So her and the two flower girls.
That's Maggie.
Oh, Maggie gets
Maggie, because she's in on the. I don't think it actually got ripped. I think it's just part
but Maggie, the daughter, and her friend go up.
They all go upstairs to get changed.
Yeah,
and that's part of the plan because they're supposed to distract while the man who we haven't mentioned yet. There's a revolutionary man who's kind of like, I guess, kind of a love interest of the other woman.
Yeah,
not Maggie.
So it's basically the three of them are the team.
Yeah, and he's basically gonna steal the necklace while everyone else is distracted.
Yeah, he's sneaking up there, and they're kind of like getting him in the room whilst the daughter's distracted.
And this whole time, Jackie's kind of sneaking around as well because he knows something's going on. And there's a whole bit where the women are getting changed, and like
the governor walks in, and they're all like, "Ooh!"
And they're like, "Ooh!" And then Jackie like bursts in, and the door bashes the governor, and he's like pissed off.
And then the governor's like, "No, you've seen my daughter like half naked." I'm like, "You also just barged in."
Also, they're like not that naked because they've got like Victorian underwear,
which is like trousers. Yeah. And the governor's like pissed off at.
There's quite a funny bit when the governor and the woman that's distracting him, they're talking about painting, and they go into a room of paintings that he's just bought, and like one of them, Jackie's like hiding in the painting.
It's it's lots of like faces in this big painting.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't know Jackie Chan was there. It's only when like he then moved, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
And then he moves, and then it looks like he's kissing one of the other people. And then he's like,
which would only work from the camera's point of view.
Yes,
but it's a good like visual joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, this man is then like breaking into the safe and gets the diamonds on the safe.
It's a necklace that was going to be for the birthday.
Yeah.
And he breaks off the main pendant, and then he hides. We find out the necklace in a book in that room.
Yes. I don't know what. Oh, so he can get out basically.
Yeah, and then he keeps the little pendant on him.
Yeah.
But
Dragon's
Jackie,
like watching.
He sees him like jumping out the window. He raises the alarm and then goes downstairs and accuses this guy.
The guy's like rejoined the party.
And as he does, one of the women
bumps into him and puts the locket,
the locket part in, yeah.
And like he makes this big deal, and the inspector steps up and be like, "You know what? Let's give credit to Dragon.
Yeah.
If he thinks someone's stolen something, someone's stolen something.
Yeah.
Everyone stop. Everyone get searched.
It's like, you won't mind if you're all innocent." He's like, maybe Dragon, you should be searched first. Someone says that. Oh no! And then Chun doesn't want to do the search because he doesn't want to be accused of it. So the chief guy,
the commissioner, he's like,
he checks in and like he just checks in his pocket, and the
pendant's there. And Dragon's like, "What?" And then the governor's
I
quite like this. He then steps up and be like, "I'm glad you all are joined and show. This is all a big act. Ha ha ha, you can go back to your party," and goes off with Dragon and the commissioner.
Such a good actor.
Yeah. And he's like, "What the fuck have you done here?"
Because he knows that he didn't do it, but then also he does get arrested for that.
Yeah, I think the government doesn't want the party to get ruined. He's like, where are the diamonds?
But that's why he's arrested for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
It's a bit dodge, but yeah. I guess they're trying to get rid of him as well, aren't they? Chun's trying to get rid of him.
And whilst they're having the conversation, Dragon looks over and realises it's Maggie who put the... He kind of looks at her and was like, remembers that he bumped into her. But because of the evidence they've got there, Dragon is arrested.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And that's kind of the end of the party. And then the two, Maggie and her friend are leaving.
Yeah, is this when they get kidnapped?
One of them gets kidnapped.
Yeah,
Maggie's friend gets kidnapped.
Yes.
Because then she gets taken back to their house for some reason.
Yeah. So like men with bowler hats who kind of look like agents of some sort, but we don't know what agency they're working for. They grab her while Maggie's like looking the other way.
Yeah.
And she's like, friend? I don't know what her name is.
But yeah, so the next bit is Dragon's out of jail, but he's still handcuffed. But he's with his friend.
Day release, yeah. Well, he's not handcuffed initially, and then Chun sees them, and he's like, "You need to be handcuffed."
Yeah, and he takes the key as well. So he's like, "You have to stay handcuffed."
And then they wrap like a jacket around the handcuffs, so it looks like they're just walking along holding hands.
Yeah.
And when they see Maggie later, they're like, "Oh, we're like brothers." And like,
that's the thing. Like, it's.
I think that's like.
It's so like.
I think that's supposed to be like, oh, they're brothers kind of thing. Like,
I think it's like it looks like they're holding hands as if they're a couple.
Yeah, I think that's.
But I feel like they're so kind of unaware of homosexuality as a thing that they didn't even see that implication.
Yeah, although then they both go to the bathroom together. I think it's like very, like,
maybe.
You know,
but yeah, this bit. So
this is the bit we talked
10
about.
minutes is so confusing.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to breeze through this. We can't do the whole.
Thoroughly
thing.
enjoyable.
Right, Lewis. Explain the vague premise of this area.
So
this area.
I'll try and get through it best I can.
Yeah, we don't need to do it beat by beat.
No,
we can
but
come back to this.
So the two kidnappers.
Wait, can I just say one of my notes includes the line "Everyone is there." So
yeah. So what is Maggie's friend called?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
We need to give her a name because
Sue. Let's call her Sue.
Sue.
That's one of the characters in the first film was called Sue.
Okay,
so I mean, I can find out if you want.
No, let's go with Sue. So kidnappers take Sue to Sue's house, who she lives with Maggie. And then Maggie gets home. So the kidnappers and Sue hide because they're like, shit, they've got guns.
Karina.
The kidnappers and Karina hide because Maggie's come home.
So they were trying to find some evidence in the house.
Yeah. And Maggie's
rebel.
Yeah, Maggie's looking around and can't find them. And then Dragon and his friend turn up.
With the handcuffs.
But
they don't want to show her that because it implies that they shouldn't be there.
Yeah. And then that's for the bit where they then go to the toilet together.
Yes.
Whilst they're in the toilet, the commissioner arrives. And every time someone arrives, they've got a little hatch where Maggie looks through.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, sorry, let me just put some clothes on.
Like,
and she does it every time.
I'm getting changed.
Yeah. So then the commissioner arrives. And the Maggie starts telling the commissioner that Jackie Chan's there, but then he's like, no. So she kind of backtracks.
Yes.
She's like, oh, your friends are here.
And they're like farcically like hiding behind curtains.
Yeah.
And when they pull the curtain, it reveals the kidnappers on the other side. So then they're pulling it back.
Yeah. And the curtain's going to and fro, covering Dragon and the kidnappers.
Commissioner is like completely he's a complete basically.
So Maggie's like, oh, I'll help Dragon get out without the commissioner seeing.
Yeah.
So
there's a bit where he's getting some water for the flowers that he's brought her because he's basically trying to woo her, isn't he? Even though she's a generation younger than him, he's like brought her flowers and he said he actually got them off. What do you call it? Confiscated them off someone who I think was selling them. So he's almost taken them off one of her mates and is giving them to her as a gift. So while he's getting the water, she's like shutting the doors in the kitchen.
Yes,
this is what I'd do if I was cooking, and she shuts the doors and then they run past. And she's like, but I'm not cooking. And
the tap's broken, so he gets sprayed with water. So then she takes
he's trying to fix it. He's like, I used to be the head of the waterworks or whatever.
Yeah, so she takes his coat and puts it in the bedroom where Dragon can then grab the key that he's also got and undo the locks. Then one of the kidnappers grabs Jackie Chan's friend.
Yes, Ho.
Who's
the one good policeman from the precinct.
So now one of the kidnappers has got Karine. Was it Karine?
I think.
And the other kidnapper has got Ho.
I think there's two people with. Yeah. Basically,
and Jackie Chan's like hiding under the bed.
Yeah. So Jackie doesn't know that there's kidnappers there at all at this point. It's only a little bit later. Basically, she's trying to find a shirt for the commissioner to wear. Yeah. And while there's a lot of jumping around in wardrobes and different doors opening, Jackie sees that the kidnappers are there and he's onto it. But
there's not like you can do it. He's still just under
Maggie
the bed.
only knows that Dragon, Ho, and the commissioner are there. Yeah. She's got no idea that Karina. Blah,
and then the commissioner is showing Maggie how handcuffs work because she's trying to distract him.
Yes.
And then he handcuffs.
But he doesn't realise that his keys aren't there because Jackie took them and then dropped them.
So he handcuffs himself to a chair.
Yep. But it's like a chaise lounge, I think. Yes.
And he can't then unkey himself.
Yeah, because
and then there's another knock at the door or a bell.
Chan.
And it's Chan, Inspector Chan. And the commissioner's like, oh, he can't see me here.
And also, it's quite funny because he's wearing a lady's blouse.
Yeah.
And he's handcuffed to a thing, which I feel like is also kind of like a sexual thing.
So they're like, oh, they'd hide too. So they carry the chair to the bedroom. And he hides under a bed. And they
put it like at the foot of the bed, and then he's under the bed.
And like a bed opposite where Dragon is.
That's right, yeah. Because there's two beds in I guess they share a room, the two ladies.
Yeah. And then Jackie and the commissioner kind of
Yes,
get you to
so this is confusing because I had subtitles on, and the subtitles were the conversation between Maggie and Chun, which is polite conversation, her trying to get him to leave, and they're doing like kind of like a sign language thing of like trying to talk about the plan, and it was very confusing because I'm reading and watching stuff at the same time.
Yeah,
but basically he alerts the commissioner that something's going on.
That there's kidnappers.
I think he says like 3 kidnappers are here. Or whatever.
So then Chun leaves.
This bit is quite good. They try and cover the noise of Jackie
so the commissioner
around
starts singing
about like we are the best police, Hong Kong the best police.
And Maggie
what was the song? What was it?
It was that we are the, and then Maggie starts singing, "They are the best police, Hong Kong police, the best police." And whilst they're doing that, Jackie Chan gets into the wardrobe and gets one of the kidnappers.
Yes, he beats up one of the...
Oh, no. He climbs on top, layer, and just before he's going to get him, he spots the other kidnapper, which he was previously unaware of, with Ho.
Yes, so he didn't know that had happened.
So he goes and gets him first.
Yeah, and he beats him up. And then we don't realise, but he puts his clothes on.
Yeah, so we're from the angle in the wardrobe, and you just hear lots of noises outside.
And they're like, we're going to stab him. Let's stab him in the thigh and stuff like that. And then the... that's left.
They came bursting out, and there's 3 people in there.
I think there's 2 kidnappers and I don't know really, but
so out the wardrobe is the kidnapper, Kareen, and another guy, a policeman.
Yeah, I don't really understand that last bit, but either way, they come into the room, and there's supposedly the other kidnapper on the floor.
Yeah,
and then as the other guy gets near it, he jumps up. He's Jackie.
And they say they're going to swap prisoners.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll give you your guy back and you give us our guy back. So they do it, but then their guy's actually Jackie Chan.
Yes, that's right. And he jumps up. And then they reveal they tied up the other guy in the corner.
And it's revealed that the kidnappers are Chinese.
Yes. The kidnappers are working for the colonial government in Manchuria, and they are anti-rebel police, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So that whole sequence was really confusing.
Yes, and it probably was for you listeners as well, to be honest.
Yeah, but it was really enjoyable.
Effectively, there's a lot of farcical stuff where someone's trying to get out of the line of sight of someone else, and there's more people piling in, and everyone's hiding. And
one bit Maggie says, "Why are all these people in my house?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's literally like all the main characters appear in the house, and none of them want any of the others to know that they're there.
Well, yeah, we missed Chun leaving, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. But then Chun's waiting outside because he knows something's going on, I think.
Yeah.
And as they leave, the commissioner's like got his uniform like draped
half
over
on
him.
because he's still handcuffed to the chair.
Handcuffed, and he's like, "Oh, it's evidence. They were stealing it. These people." To Chun, and then Chun's like, "Oh, I don't have my keys," even though we see he has got his keys.
Yeah.
So he's just making him do it. And then he rests Dragonmara again, doesn't he?
Yes, he's like, "You clearly can't be with your friend. We need to be handcuffed together." Yes. So then they going back to the station. It's Inspector Chun and Dragon, and they're like walking through like a park. And the pirates jump out.
Yes.
And there's a bit of back and forth where Dragon's kind of like, this guy's innocent. Like you don't need to attack here. This is between us. But then the inspector goes like, "Oh, I'm the inspector." Yeah. And did you get the 5 pirates when they hear that he's the inspector go, "Inspect this, right?"
Oh, no, it's different on here. So on here, it goes, "Do you know who I am? I'm the superintendent." And all the pirates together goes, "We don't give a shit."
Oh my god. So then the dub, they go, "Inspect this, right?" Like all in time.
Yeah. There's a couple of bits where the pirates are all together like saying the same thing.
That really made me laugh because I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, in this the subtitle said, "We don't give a shit." Which I think is a throwback to in the first film. Do you remember at the start? There's brawling between the Navy and the police in that first scene. Do you remember the one where they both got the hit back? And like the police chief goes in and they're like, "Do you know who I am?" And they're like, "We don't care." Like everyone says it together. I think it's supposed to be a bit of a repeat of that joke. And they all pull out axes, don't they? And they're chasing them around.
There's a whole that chasing. The the Inspector and Dragon, which is a bit comical because they're handcuffed together and not quite in sync.
Yeah, because
there's bits where like Jackie jumps over a pole and the Inspector slides under it, but then they're stuck, so Jackie has to go back over.
At the end of this whole bit, he's like, "You're the most clumsy man from all of whatever he's from," and it's like, no, he was just getting bashed into stuff.
The police arrive at one point and run away again.
There's a couple of good axe catchers. There's one where they I think it's Jackie and Chum both throw axes and two pirates like catch them at the same time.
There's one where one of the pirates throws an axe at Jackie and he catches it in a bucket and then pulls it out and throws back.
And there's like axes hitting next to people's heads.
They're going through like buildings and stuff. There's one bit where one of the pirates jumps on like a table that's got loads of like plates and cups on it.
Oh, that was the bit we saw.
Dragon pulls the tablecloth, making the other guy fall backwards, but keeping all the plates and cups like perfectly there.
Yes,
I was like, that's very cool. Police turn up and the pirates escape. Basically,
yeah, it's like the riot kind of police. They've got their shields and batons, and they're like, and Chun's like, they know Chun, so they're like, and then Jackie is sent off to prison. Supposedly,
he's given to another guy
who's the warden.
Yeah, who's going to take him there,
and he
takes him a different route.
Yes, and it's very like sus. It's like, oh, we're going a different way, and then loads of people jump out and like put him in a sack.
And throw him in a river.
Yeah, and then we don't see him get rescued, but we see the revolutionaries are following him, aren't they?
Yeah, we see the three of them are kind of watching from the bushes.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, because then we get a little bit with when the pirate's ill.
Yes, and they're talking about regretting their revenge mission. This is the bit I said about. So they're like, oh, we should have just got jobs when we landed from the pirate island. And then they're like, oh, Dragon Mars just doing his job. His job is to catch people. Our job is to kill people. That's what the subtitles say.
I think it's more for me just funny. Them being like, oh, this is shit. Like, revenge isn't working out.
Yeah. And this is when, I think after that initial fight, one of their leader, the bald guy, is ill.
He's like,
so I think he's been beaten up,
sweating,
but then
he's laying down
as well.
And there's really quick scene with the Inspector making a deal. We don't really know the context.
Chun makes a deal as well.
Yeah, and that's it because it's very quick and then it skips over.
But the guy he's making a deal with is one of the anti-rebel police. It's the main one. He's got a bowler hat and he's got a big mustache. Who is kind of like the main bad guy in a way, other than Chun.
That's the thing that kind of confuses me. So we've got the pirates, we've got the revolutionaries, we've got Chun, and we've got these like secret police.
Yeah.
So it's all a bit confusing.
Yeah, I think compared to the first film, it's a little bit
where it's just pirates.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it's revealed that Dragon's been saved by the revolutionaries. Yeah. And they basically say like, Dragon, like, join us, like we value you, and he's a bit unsure about it. And then he goes into a little speech being like, I agree with your views, I agree where you're coming from, but I help people by working through the police.
He's like, I can't break the law. His morals are quite strong, basically.
And he's like, I'm helping people as much as you are. This is just my way of doing it. You do it your way, I'll do it my way. And they kind of respect each other. And they
shake hands and kind of say
it was quite nice. Like he's kind of recognizing them whilst explaining how he can't leave.
Yeah, it's the most commentary on that kind of situation that you get in this. And I don't know if it was that.
Yeah, no, it's because Dragon's character is fundamentally fighting against the revolutionaries for a lot of this.
Yeah, that's why it's a bit.
This is the point where actually he gets to say that he agrees with them.
And although this is goodbye, it's not goodbye because the whole of the last scene, everyone's involved again. As well.
So then the pirates go to get the medicine.
Yes.
Well, one of them does. The others are waiting outside.
And he's like,
Dragon's there.
He says, please, can I have it for free? My friend's ill.
Yeah.
And Dragon just happens to be... because it's Maggie's uncle is the medicine man.
Right.
Medicine man.
Do you know the medicine man?
Because she's there saying goodbye because the other lady is about to leave.
Right.
Other revolutionary. And Maggie, for some reason, has to leave as well, I think.
Probably because they're wanted now.
And as Maggie leaves the shop, she gets arrested by the secret police with the Inspector Chun.
Yes.
And he's like loudly like, you've got the warrant now. No one's going to stand in your way. So he's given them free roam, basically, to crack down on the revolutionaries.
Yes. before that, though, is when the pirates get the medicine. Importantly, Dragon pays for the medicine.
Yes, of course. Yeah, he says, put it on my tab. Yeah.
And he kind of comes like confused, being like, yeah, I bumped into Dragon. They're like, oh, should we get him? And he's like, he paid for the medicine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so.
And then he gets
Maggie gets taken.
And at this point, Jackie's still in the shop and he's like, hide, uncle, whatever you're called. Yeah, and then shit starts kicking off.
He comes out and he's like starts fighting people,
yeah,
like the secret police people.
But then does he get captured?
He gets
quite
captured,
quickly,
yeah.
Because this is when we kind of realize Chun is the main bad guy. We knew it.
He's kind of like the mastermind.
Yeah, he's kind of the mastermind. Although the bowler hat secret agent guy is kind of like the man in power, but Chun is like our antagonist. Yeah.
So they're at like some sort of old-fashioned factory.
I think they say it's a soy sauce factory later on,
right?
But basically, everyone's there again. Like, I think a load of the cops that are his mates might be there. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not there. So, no, but all the revolutionary key people are there.
So the revolutionaries and Jackie have been captured by Inspector Chan and the secret police people.
Yeah.
So everyone's, even though there's multi parties, they've kind of fallen into two groups at this point.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, basically they're going to kill them, and they throw Jackie Chan in a hole, and you see a thing above it that's going to like crush him.
Yeah, it's like a mortar and pestle thing.
And I was like, oh, he needs to get out of here quick so that he doesn't get blocked off. But it turns out the hole he's in is a lot bigger than the thing crushing him.
Well, I think that's for our purposes. That's for his.
Because he just kind of jumps to the side and dodges it each time. The
idea is that the sides are really steep and slippery.
Yeah.
So if he's standing at the bottom, he'll get crushed, and he can kind of skit up the wall a little bit.
Yeah.
But only temporarily while it's there, and he's going to run out of energy.
And the crusher thing's going up and down, and he's kind of jumping out the way each time.
Yeah, it's like a piston kind of thing mashing, and they start pouring oil around it, the bad
to make
guys.
It
They're
harder.
Like, it's very like kind of like Batman trap thing, isn't it? Like, you can imagine like the Jokers around the
60s Batman.
But also it's kind of anticlimactic because he kind of just escapes really easily because a guy's leaning over pouring oil and he grabs his tie and climbs up and throws the guy in.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I assume gets crushed immediately.
Yeah, I imagine so, yeah.
And a big fight breaks out. Dragon and the revolutionaries escape.
At one point we missed out there's a black book which is all the payments of the revolutionaries.
Yeah.
It's some sort of dossier, little like Mao's red book.
I wasn't exactly clear what it was.
The red book.
At first I thought it was the book with the diamonds in.
No, I think it's maybe it is. No, I think it's something to do with,
I wasn't really sure about. I knew this book was significant. I didn't know why it was significant. You looking?
I'm on the Wikipedia. When you search book, the first time it says is the Imperial agents arrive and apprehend most of the revolutionaries to gain possession of the Black Book. So I guess it's like a payment thing,
right?
It's evidence basically that they've been doing revolutionary stuff, and it probably implicates other people and stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's they all kind of escape, and there's a few bits like cool bits like jumping off buildings. There's Jackie like jumps on a ladder and it swings across like a street and then he slides down it.
And a lot of the time he's got the two ladies with him and he's trying to look after them.
And like they jump off like the side and bounce off things.
Yeah.
There's one bit where Maggie lands on him and he goes, "Oh, you could lose some weight."
Oh, really?
And I was like, what?
There's a part where it's really obviously a stunt double.
What of
Maggie, yeah. And it's like thank you. It's a man like in a wig.
I didn't notice
I went back and watched it. It's the bit where she's falling down and he puts a plank out and she falls on the plank.
Oh,
it's just like a man with a wig and then falls off and then it's her again.
Yeah, okay.
It's quite funny.
And then they basically say like, we can't all escape, we're slower than you, and give Dragon the book and kind of let themselves be captured so that Dragon can run off with the book.
They don't really, they kind of just start running after him.
And the chase, and there's like a big shed full of birds that they fight in for a bit.
Well, before that, it's basically there's three main henchmen that are for the bowler hat guys.
Yeah.
And at one point, Jackie's hiding from them, and he jumps down a bit, and he's hiding with all the pirates.
Oh yeah, the pirates happen to be like following along.
Yeah.
And he kind of stops and looks at them. They just kind of look at each other, and then he runs off.
And when he runs out, then the henchmen all take their bowler hats off, and they've got like long plaits.
Yeah.
They wrap around like scarves and then like clip onto their shirts.
Yeah, and they throw the hats like over the haystack.
And then
the pirates
with
there, and they're like, ooh.
They're like, oh, it fits. And then there's quite a lot of multi-stage fights with these three henchmen. One of them is in the big Avery.
And then there's a bit with like some water bit where they drown him for ages.
Yeah, you think he's dead and he's not. But the bit with the cage, there's literally birds flying everywhere. And it's like, I'm pretty sure they're punching the birds as they're fighting.
Yeah, because they're literally like attacking.
These are real birds. Like, they must have killed some birds doing that.
There's also a bit where they're walking across like a board, and the book falls into like a big round cage that's just full of feathers.
I imagine it's a kind of thing where you put like birds in, and then you turn it, and their feathers fall out or something.
Right,
like a plucking thing.
But he drops the book in there. So Dragon and one of the henchmen jump in there, and it's spinning around, and he gets the book.
Yeah. And another henchman turns it off.
There's the next bit I loved.
Yeah, this is good.
There's like a stall of food.
Right, so why did he do you explain it, and why did he do it?
Right, so he grabs 2 massive handfuls of these bright red chilies, shoves them all in his mouth, and just starts like chewing like mad.
So was it to like wake himself up?
No.
I thought it was like to give himself a boost.
No, he chews for ages and swallows this, and then spits on his hands and rubs it in the guy's eyes.
I saw those bits. I thought his initial idea was to like get a bit of a boost.
No, I think that was, and he spits one of them at one point, so it's to get the chili, and like saliva.
He takes out 2 of them like that, and the third guy.
And I read, they were planning on getting fake chilies, but didn't have the time to do it, so it was all real chilies. And Jackie Chan actually shoved a mouthful of these really hot.
You can see it in the credits.
They've got like a drink, and he's like,
he almost immediately is like,
yeah. But it's quite funny because these guys have just like got these chewed up chili sauce like in their eyes, and they're like, oh. And I was like, for all of the intense fighting they're doing, this is quite amusing.
Yeah, and then I think there's one last guy who's kind of got Jackie on the ropes again, and then the pirates turn up, and they're all like, hit him together.
Yeah. So the pirates come to like help Jackie at this point because he's done them a favor. And then the police arrive, Inspector Chun runs away, and Dragon chases. And then
they have a fight.
They have various fights. This is the first time those. I don't think there's much standout for this fight.
They fought together with the handcuffs, so this is like them fighting against each other.
It wasn't a standout fight for me.
No, just the last bit with the scaffolding.
Yeah, so it then ends up with them going out into an open,
and Jackie starts like pulling a rope, and the guy's like, don't pull that rope, the whole thing will fall down.
Yeah,
and he's like,
so he jumps up and pulls the whole rope, and as the inspector stands in the middle of this like square, and this big wooden like wall, like
it's
falls
like a
down.
big decorative wall with like flowers and bamboo, and it like falls and
lands on him,
and then the second one falls down
and lands on Jackie, but he stands there, so it just kind of breaks on him.
It kind of doesn't make. I mean, it's a reference to that Buster Keaton, isn't it? But in that, there's a hole that he goes through. In this, it just kind of smashes through him, and he's fine. But they clearly did it for real, and there's a lot of stuff in the credits with that. Behind the scenes and stuff.
So then they get the inspector. They're going to arrest the inspector, but the pirates are like, Dragon, we still need to fulfill our oath. And he's like, okay. And they all put their axes like round his neck.
And they go,
and then they're like,
killed, or whatever.
Yeah, and then they just walk off. And it's like, I like these pirates. They've come around.
Yeah, it's good.
And then, that's
well, the
it.
army chief says something to Chun, and Chun's like says something back, and then the army chief starts the police chief starts like beating him.
Yeah,
he basically talks back to him, and he's like,
no, I think in the dubbed he was like, oh, I've got like powerful friends or something. Oh no, he says he's royalty.
Oh really?
He says he's royalty. And then there's a bit that I feel like wouldn't quite come across, because when the commissioner then hits him, he's like, oh, I didn't know what he says. I couldn't understand his accent. Because earlier in the film, Jackie Chan makes a comment about how he's from somewhere else and sounds slightly different.
Which is also why he says, you're the clumsiest guy in
that area. So the commissioner hits me, he's like, I couldn't understand his accent, because I assume if you can speak Cantonese, he's got a different accent to the rest of them.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Which obviously wouldn't work unless they'd got like a Scottish actor to do him. That could have been quite
Scottish.
funny. But yeah, then it's the credits. And the credits is like it's in the corner you've got Jackie Chan singing the song. And
yes,
so like,
yeah.
And the rest of it is just all like the behind the scenes of how all the stunts are done.
It's kind of like a couple of outtakes, like the Chili's thing.
Yeah.
You see him put them in for the first time and almost immediately he regrets it and needs water.
And you see like him and like the others kind of like lining up how the stunt's gonna work.
Yeah, like especially the scaffolding one.
You see his like arm go down. I see him as well at one point when Maggie like jumps out a window onto like a sheet thing. There's a shot of him and her like sitting on the edge of it, him kind of describing how it's going to happen.
Right,
so I think she did genuinely do that.
I think that one she did. It was the one on the plank that I think was someone else.
But it was quite cool to see because as we discussed last time, Jackie Chan's a perfectionist and he would have done most of those stunts like 100 times.
You see, especially in the first one, there's ones where it's like it's a 1 in 100 chance. And he does the 100 times to get even like the axe catch would have been one, or even just all those
it's things as well, like not just getting the shot, but getting like it to play out exactly how he wants, like even like the facial expressions, like landing, other stuff falling needs to be exactly how he's imagined it.
Because the choreography is obviously the main star of this, other than Jackie himself, Yeah, and there's a lot to be said about that.
And it is very good. I think there was fights and choreography stuff in the first film that stood out more.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Particularly the big police versus navy fight was full of great bits in the first film.
And that was like the first scene, wasn't it? Yeah.
This one, I don't think there was as many standout.
I think this, and even the bell tower, clock tower thing, the first one. There's a couple of falls. There was one we didn't mention that he falls on a load of like bird cages, I think.
Yeah.
Which is a hard fall, and it's filmed in the same kind of slow-mo way.
They use slow-mo more in this one than they did in the first.
Yeah, like maybe the absence of Samo was felt here. Maybe we should watch Eastern Promises or whatever that film's called. Eastern Condors.
Yeah. But I mean, it was still, and the choreography is still very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think it was as good as the first one.
I think the fact that, the plot in the first one, I remember being a little bit, it's a bit here and there in terms of it jumps around a lot.
Yeah.
But in this one, I think
it's really confusing.
More, and the fact that the stunts were good. It was like you say, the fights weren't as unique.
Yeah.
And if we'd watched this first,
I feel like the fights were a little less slapstick as well. Like there was fights in the first one that were genuinely quite funny.
No, you're right, because there's a couple of bits in this like where Jackie does the like, oh, I've hurt my hands thing.
Yeah.
Like he does it with a rope and stuff, but in the first one, like even that first scene where they both hurt their backs and they pretend that they're okay and then they go behind the things and they're like, ooh.
Yeah, and it's kind of that a lot throughout.
Yeah, in this one, and even like if you think about the fight at the end with the carpet and the bomb, it's like 3-on-1 and Samo's there and the pirate captain, like that was all fantastic. Like, it was really good.
It was funnier, definitely the first one.
Yeah,
like the fighting. It still had jokes.
I think like the farcical slapstick stuff was probably heavier in this one. Like there's more comedy stuff, just not action comedy.
Yeah, so
like that whole scene with the multiple people all in the flat.
Yeah, it's
that was. I keep bashing it today.
It's
I
more like
bloody choreography.
It's more like jokes than like funny fighting.
Yeah,
which the first
the
one
fighting
was
and comedy were very separate in this, whereas it was more overlapped in the first one, which might be a conscious decision.
But it might just be let's have a different approach to this one.
Totally. Is
there another Project A? I think there is.
Well, so it's confusing because there's something called Project S, which is called Project S in certain releases, but it's not in this continuity of films. It's in the Police Story continuity of films. So we'll have to, really, or at least one of us, I'm quite happy to do it, watch Police Story 1 and 2 without being part of the podcast, just for context. And I think it might be Michelle Yeoh, who's a very big actress.
Yeah. I like Michelle Yeoh.
So we can do that maybe next year.
But there's not another Project A like in this.
I've just searched Project S, and there's a television series called Project S, the series. We haven't got this on the list.
I'm going to take it as a no. There's not.
No, I don't think so. No. Project S was 1993. Yes, Michelle Yeoh. Phew. Okay.
Yeah, I like Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I was looking for sequel
It's
stuff
Super
on.
Cop 2, so I think we have to watch. Yeah, we have to watch multiple films before.
I was looking for sequel stuff on Project 8. Opened up Wikipedia, and it was about Troy. I didn't even think the first thing I saw was Brendan Gleeson, who's definitely not in this film. Yeah, I think it is just the two.
Yeah,
but that's cool. I enjoyed them.
No, it was good. Yeah, and it was nice to revisit something.
Yeah,
and I think, yeah, I think.
Any trivia you have?
We
mentioned a couple of bits.
them. Yeah. The only one we didn't mention, the scene in Maggie's house, is a homage to a Marx Brothers Night at the Opera.
Yes, it does kind of make sense.
Yeah. And this other one here, the second assistant director and producer Raymond Chow's daughter, Roberta Chow, appeared as woman walking in the park with her man.
Nice. I did see that it was listed on a 1,001 films, which I'm like, as a sequel, it's pretty good.
Totally, yeah. That's good.
At the 1988 Hong Kong Film Awards, it did win Best Action Choreography.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. I mean,
it was nominated for Best Film Editing, didn't win, but it won Best Action Choreography. And they're like, even though we said it's not as good as the first one, it's still a Jackie Chan film. It's still got very good fighting choreography.
And compared to a lot of modern films, it's, at least even the fact that it's filmed in a way that you can see what's going on, you can see that people are doing the stunts, it speaks volumes. And we're kind of being a bit spoiled in terms of.
I feel like we would have appreciated it more if we hadn't seen the first one.
Totally, yeah.
Because it's still like the athleticism and stuff is incredible.
Totally. There's so much. I noticed there's lots of bits in this. I don't know if Jackie was on a run with this type of stunt, but there's lots of stuff. Like when someone flips and then they flip someone with their legs. Kind of like the Black Widow kind of thing, but not. But instead of doing it round, it's more like over.
I thought you were going to say one thing I noticed he did a lot more in this is the like really quick climbing stuff, like running up and just jumping and like one hand pulling up and climbing up to the second floor.
Would you remember that bit in the first one where there's that really high wall and he just like cat climbs up?
But there's stuff like just walls or scaffolding where he literally just runs and jumps at
he
lifts himself up and
momentum to it's
exactly.
like in the Spider-Man game where you can like web zip up.
Exactly. I feel like he does a lot more of that in this one, so he might have also been in a hype of like, oh wait, I can do this is pretty cool.
I imagine you would, because he's I imagine trying to push boundaries with himself as much as anything, so yeah, it makes sense he's doing things slightly differently, and I appreciate that it's not a retread completely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the story was a bit weak, but I think it's probably topical a little bit, like we were saying with the whole Hong Kong thing.
And it's just, they couldn't just do the same again.
Yeah, I just think pirates more. I liked the way the pirates were in this story. I just think that I would have either preferred more interesting. I suppose it's an anti-corruption thing, isn't it? Which I feel like a lot of Jackie's police things are going to be pretty anti-corruption.
Yeah.
Which is kind of rich because I feel like the Chinese government are probably pretty corrupt.
Whoa, politics.
You know what? I don't think we have any listeners in China, but if we do, I'd love to hear from you, hear your opinion on this. Or Hong Kong.
I feel like it may have been improved if they had streamlined the plot a bit.
Story.
So like maybe just focus on the police corruption stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the revolutionary stuff and the pirate stuff could have been folded in elsewhere. The pirates could probably be there as a comedy.
The pirates is there, they're kind of a comedy bit, and they're antagonists for one scene, really, aren't they?
Yeah, but I feel like if you streamlined, because like Inspector Chun's kind of come out as the big villain at the end.
Yeah.
But it's it could have been multiple people.
You know that it's him, really. It's just that the way it's there's
too many parties,
or don't have
and it is a thing again that we kind of said before, that we're at a disadvantage watching a foreign film.
Absolutely,
because whether it's subtitled or dubbed, it's harder to follow, because when you're seeing like a British or American film, you recognize the character's voice and it's much easier to follow who's who.
Yeah. And when it comes to multiple, like, we probably would have watched a film in English with this many moving parts and been a little bit more on board with it.
Yeah, and there's not a lot we can really do about that without learning Cantonese.
Yeah, I watched most of it at 11 something last night when I was tired, and as you can probably hear from my increasingly nasally voice, not particularly well. So if I've missed something really obvious, I can only blame one of those factors there.
Or me, who's
Lewis
not ill.
doesn't have any excuses there, so...
Yeah. So should we give a rating?
I think we should, yeah. I think we should. You got anything in mind?
I think I did like
I feel like I'm going to give the most boring rating I've ever given.
I don't think it's bad. I think it was fairly fun. It wasn't as good as the first one. I think I'm in between two.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah.
I was thinking 6.
I know, this is the same for me, yeah.
But I don't want to be overly harsh because
I think it was better than a lot of... I've rated film 6 that this was miles
This
better
wasn't boring.
No.
It's well made, it's well directed, it's well acted, the action is good.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not as standoutish as the first one. Yeah. If I originally gave the first one a 7, think of this as a lower 7 than that.
I'd agree. I would, as you said before, I would have given the original 8 in hindsight. So I'm giving this a 7 because it's good. But
so we're also lining up the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb scores for these two films. But I think that's a genuine opinion, and I think I've made my reasoning fairly clear.
Yeah, you don't need to defend it. As we say every time, it's completely abstract and it doesn't have any relation.
I don't remember what I gave Toast to London last week. So
no, I've no idea. I think I gave it an 8. But
I listened to that just a few days ago.
Lovely.
Anyway, that is Project A Part 2.
Project A Part 2. So now it's time for
personal projects. I actually had that in my head.
I haven't thought of anything at all. So
I forget about that until this moment each week. But anyway, do you have a personal project?
No, I mean, I've forgotten about personal projects.
Okay. So the obvious one, we've both watched Boba Fett.
Yes. Or should we call it Mandalorian?
The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1. Yeah. I, same as you, because you messaged me, it started being like, oh shit. And
I was like, watch the episode.
At the end of episode 3, you hear the music a bit. Yeah. So when it started, I was like, oh yeah, it's the Mandalorian, and he's got the dark saber, and he's like fucking shit up.
It's like he's fully he's finished the game, and he's like new game +1. He's got his spear.
He does declare saying, I can bring you in cold, I can bring you in warm.
But it's quite interesting because he's also not very good with the dark saber.
Yeah, so he burns himself, which is good. And I like the whole thing of you need to be trained at this.
Yeah.
And then he gets kicked out the creed.
And it's also heavy, isn't it? So
it gets heavier when you fight against it.
Yeah. So it's got and he gets kicked out because he'd taken his helmet off.
Yeah.
But before that, he gets the Beskar.
Yeah, for Grogu,
which is kind of like chainmail. It looks like there's rings.
I think so. We don't actually see, but it's tied up in a bag that just happens to look like him.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
There's all the Naboo starfighter stuff, which is great.
And he going through the pod racing track.
Yeah, that's it.
It was a very, very prequels fan service.
Yeah. And also, it ends where he's like, I've got to go see an old friend. And I was like, right, we're going to see Grogu next episode. But realistically, he's going to turn up in the last episode and we're going to see the Grogu stuff in season 3 of Mandalorian, aren't we?
Because, as much as I enjoyed it,
it's not the right series for it.
Yeah.
And also
Boba Fett wasn't in it.
Yeah. Fennec was in it, but yeah.
Right at the end.
But I enjoy whatever she's called, the lady who's the mechanic. She's very good. And she's had sex with Jawas.
Yeah, which is interesting.
I enjoyed as well.
They spent so long humanizing Tusken Raiders that they're going to start fucking Jawas, I guess.
Yeah.
I've thoroughly enjoyed the series so far.
Yeah,
I think we've got 3 episodes left.
2 or 3, yeah. I think it's 7.
I think it's 3.
So...
We've had 4.
No, that was 5.
Was that 5?
Yeah.
Oh shit. You sure?
So we'll have a. I reckon it'll be
2 more. A very Boba.
It'll be like an Empire Strikes Back where the plan kind of goes wrong, and
then he gets a team together.
Mando will turn up at the end.
Assume some Tusken Raiders will come and help him.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what people have said online, I think, you know, the one Tusken that was maybe the female one with the long thing wasn't at the camp when he left, so at least that one's still alive.
Yeah,
potentially. Maybe one of the kids, although he did throw the little stick in the fire, didn't he? So I think the kid that was his friend is probably dead. But...
yeah.
Oh, it was great in the last one when he gets his ship, which is not Slave One anymore, I guess, because slavery's bad. It's just called a fire spray.
Yeah, I saw some people on Reddit complain about that, but it's because like that is the name of the type of the ship.
But
it's like
they're consciously not calling it Slave One, though, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like the Millennium Falcon is a Carillion
class,
like ship, a freighter ship.
But the bit where he's got the ship after all that, and then he just chases the biker gang down and just guns them down.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
And people are like, oh, he's annoying. Soft. He's too soft. He likes animals now. It's like, yeah, but he also doesn't give a fucking shit. Like he will.
And also, like, I've seen some people like, oh, where's the badass Boba from the original trilogy? And it's like, what, the guy that stood around for 5 minutes and then fell into a pit.
And this is why people like Mando more, because Din Djarin is effectively what we thought Boba Fett was.
Yeah,
he's a bounty hunter, although he's not really anymore. But also, it's kind of weird that he went from like a proper big ship that you could sleep on to like.
That's what I thought when she first showed him the ship. I was like, "Where's he gonna sleep?"
But I think the point is that he's not living that life anymore. Almost. Yeah, he can stay somewhere. He's using but and the space
and if he's still a bounty hunter, where's he gonna stick the people that he catches?
Yeah, well, Grogu's got a little pod in the back. It was like the Homer car in Simpsons.
It was. Yeah,
it's like this is where you stick your kids.
Yeah. Actually, I've started rewatching through Star Wars on the side.
Oh yeah.
So last night I watched Attack of the Clones.
Okay, cool.
Which was quite interesting because it is Tamara Morrison.
Yes.
But like 20 years ago. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, that is the same guy, and he does just look a lot younger.
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting that he's now fully back to healed, but he didn't get his hair back, which is kind of interesting. I was kind of hoping he was going to have like a bit of a hair,
of a mane.
Yeah, I mean, even like young Boba hair, like the curtains. Would have been quite funny. But I guess Tamara Morrison's probably not got masses of hair.
Yeah,
so maybe
he might just prefer the shaved style.
Totally,
he might sit under the helmet better.
Although he's always taking his bloody helmet off.
Maybe because it's bald and he makes him itchy.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the rest of that. I think, it's not been one of the. I mean, all the Disney Plus series are pretty high quality, really.
Yeah, I mean, with Star Wars, you've only had The Mandalorian and Boba Fett.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard not to compare it to the Marvel one.
Yeah, I tried to keep it fairly separate.
I mean, there's loads planned. I'm not really. I think it's a little bit oversaturated. I'm almost rather multiple Marvel stuff because I feel maybe it's just come more on top of it, so I can feel.
Yeah,
like when they talk about not Knights of the Old Republic, the Rangers of the The plans are fucked anyway because of Gina Carano.
See, I think I'd probably prefer more Star Wars series than Marvel series because we're still getting like 3 Marvel films a year, whereas
good point.
We don't know when the next Star Wars film's going to be.
Are you of the opinion that, so with all the Mandalorian, what's Mandalore? All the Mandalore stuff that we got in this episode, which also it was quite cool.
Oh, the fucking
yeah, with the K2SOs.
That was
it was
brutal.
Very Terminator.
Yeah,
and like the cluster bombing of like the buildings.
Yeah, we've never actually seen like the cluster bomb stuff.
I've not watched any of the animated.
See,
stuff.
Mandalore comes up quite a lot. In Clone Wars because there's the whole story. There is. Several stories of the power battles, and then
is it set there
on Mandalore?
Darth Maul's
and the guy that he fought with
is the descendant of.
But he's also got a relative that plays a big part in Clone Wars.
Yeah, and he's the guy who forged the Darksaber or something.
That was an ancient.
His ancient one. Yeah,
he was also a Jedi.
But isn't he both voiced by Jon Favreau as well?
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, we see quite a lot of Mandalore.
Yeah. So interesting to see like the final days of Mandalore.
And the they came back and did season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The final act of that is the Siege of Mandalore, where Darth Maul has become the ruler of Mandalore.
Cool. Yeah. No, I'm keen to watch that season especially, but obviously I need to watch through. So I watched like 2 seasons of Clone Wars, but I didn't really get to the point where it kind of started.
I would suggest dipping in and out and watching the best, because the good stuff is really good.
I've got one of those infographics that's got all. I know you've got a load of episodes ranked and stuff.
Yeah. But season 7 is really good.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, I'm looking. Oh no, what I was going to say is, do you think that it's building to some sort of Defenders style team up of maybe taking back Mandalore or something? Do you think maybe
quite possibly,
maybe Boba Fett 2 and Mandalorian 3 will be the same thing? Like, rather than having concurrent series, they might be in the same one. Although Boba's not really that interesting.
They also might have. I think they're doing an Ahsoka series.
Well, this is what I mean. All of these guys might team up
because she spent a long time on Mandalore.
Yeah, in like 3 years, we might get a Defenders.
Yeah, that would be quite cool.
Yeah, because it's definitely Mando is now going back to Mandalore to prove himself. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's.
But then he also needs to get the fuck out of this cult. Honestly, like
that's the thing. Like,
it's so annoying.
It is just a small time cult.
There's literally 2 of them now.
Like yeah, it makes me so laugh. He's trying to prove himself
to this fucking annoying woman.
They're like, oh, our cult is dying off, and then they're constantly fighting each other to death. Like, of course, your cult's dying off.
I did like him catching the commercial flight though. He's like, these weapons are part of my religion, and they're like. The droid is just like, I'm not letting you on. I'm a droid. I'm programmed to take your weapons, and that's all. He's like, I know what's in the suitcase. And then there's the kid there. So not very good. And the space cops I was saying earlier.
The space cops who came back from Mandalorian season 2.
The guy with the beard, from Kim's Convenience, he was in the other one, which is why I recognised him.
Yeah.
The other guy is the guy who played Luke, who was the body that they've deep faked Mark Hamill's face on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I guess they gave him a chance to actually be in an episode properly.
Should have just got Sebastian Stan.
Well, absolutely. But he's probably filming.
What's he filming?
I was just going. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is what I was going to say.
Oh,
I was going to say Sebastian Stan, but that's his name.
He's filming Sebastian Stan.
He's also filming that one about Pamela Anderson's sex tape. That's coming out next.
Is he? Because it's
Lily James.
Lily James
has
completely.
I think
changed her look.
She's got a fake chest plate on her to give her some ginormous boobs.
But yeah, so I've had quite a Star Wars. And last year, me and Christine watched them. Like, she hadn't seen it. Kind of in the theme of Star Wars is that we watched Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah,
have you seen?
Jupiter
Ascending?
It's like the worst parts of the prequels. I've seen the first half of it, and I've listened to a podcast where they talked about it. So,
it is something. Like, it got about half hour in, because the reason it came up is me, Christine, and my friends were talking about it fairly recently. And she was like, I need to watch this to understand what you two are talking about. And it got about 20 minutes in, and she was like, why was it you two thought this film was so silly? And I was like, just wait.
Because it's really, the tones are really weird, because a lot of it is like a romantic comedy at the start, isn't it? Like, she's like, oh, I live in New York, and I'm out of luck with all the boys.
Yeah.
And then she decides to have like IVF or something, or no, she's going to sell her eggs or something.
Yeah.
And then there's suddenly just like classic grey aliens turn up and like, yeah.
It made me laugh as well that obviously on second watch it was more prominent. Is how chill she is about all of this. She's like from a poor like Russian immigrant family, and then she's like, "Oh, by the way, you're the queen of the universe," and she's like, "Cool."
So I didn't even get to that point. I got to the bit where he's like roller skating through the sky, and there's like everything's blowing.
I read that scene where like that whole
was that really expensive or just
Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum acted on set every day for 6 months to do that scene, which is mental.
And it's not even good.
And it's not even that long. Yeah.
No, it's like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, but it just gets wackier.
And then it's like annoying because they're like, oh, and then we have like nanotechnology that fixes everything afterwards. Yeah. And we make sure no one sees it. And it's like, what's the point then? Like, it's boring.
So nonsense.
And Eddie Redmayne is just annoying.
Eddie Redmayne is. I'm convinced Eddie Redmayne knew it was a bad film.
Yeah, and he takes roles that are just like annoying.
And he's got the great line where he goes, "I create life and destroy it."
Yeah. I remember that bit.
Yeah. I find Eddie Redmayne thoroughly enjoyable in this because he's so over the top.
I mean, yeah.
Everyone else.
Sean Bean's in it.
Sean Bean's got a great line in it where he says bees are genetically engineered to recognize royalty.
Are they?
Also, like Queen of the Universe, bees are just on Earth, and Earth's just like an irrelevant planet.
Yeah,
it's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
Absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
So have you found anything that you've done in the last?
I watched Licorice Pizza, which
I've heard it's very good.
Oh, I thought you'd seen it. No,
I haven't. I've heard it's very good.
Yeah, I enjoyed
it.
Yeah, and they're all there at some point.
Oh, are they?
And her mum and dad.
Oh, really?
They're all playing a family. Yeah. And they've got all their normal names except they're called Kane instead of Haim.
So it's an Arnie Kane.
Yeah. It's almost like she couldn't act unless they were saying her name to her.
Yeah, also, what's in Archer, what's the woman's name? The mother of his daughter.
Lana Kane. Wow. Yeah, okay.
Right, that's what I wasn't figuring that out.
I was like, no, it was good, yeah. It wasn't it's a P.T. Anderson film, so it's pretty like low key in a lot of ways. Like good performances, good writing, story like a bit. It's very slice of life, coming of age kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
that's what that's good. It's been had early Oscar talk
around.
Yeah,
my sister saw it separately. She really didn't like it at all. She was like, "Oh, it's just like Lady Bird," and I was like, "Well, only in that they're both kind of coming of age films. Like they're not similar at all." Other than that. And yeah, I enjoyed it though. It was good. It's quite long.
Cool.
Like, but it's one of those ones. It's in lots of. It's almost like different episodes of like the year that these people know each other, kind of thing. And there's lots of character actors that turn up for like one segment and stuff.
I am planning on watching it.
Yeah, it's good. Point. Yeah, good. Worth watching. I don't know what else I've watched, but we do have a couple other bits to cover today.
Yes, so let's move on to that.
So we'll move on to Project Letters, the Letter Project.
Project news and personal projects.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah,
Projetters.
No, I hate that.
It's like
I hate that.
pancetta.
Also, they're not letters, they're emails.
No, and actually these aren't. These are both comments. So I'll start with
messages. Project message.
I'll start with the shorter one, which is a comment on our post on Instagram announcing that we were dropping the Bigfoot projects. Basically, I went over and tagged certain people involved in the photos to make them aware, basically.
Yeah.
And one of the people I tagged was Golden Tusk, who is also called Andy Goldenberg, who plays Captain
the main
Steve,
guy.
In Bigfoot Project. About an hour later, he replied.
These are the guys that messaged us. It's the people in Bigfoot.
We had the producer before, but he must have not listened to it, so maybe they're not in contact anymore. Because he commented, "Fun listen, thanks for the love." So he must have listened through the episode, which is very nice. Andy Goldenberg.
Oh, nice. So we're getting love from all the Bigfoot Project people.
All the Bigfoot Project people. And I replied and said, thanks, we had a great time with it.
Cool.
So that's really nice. And the other one is a much more involved comment on our Montauk Project video. So it's the YouTube version of the podcast.
Was the James Corden episode, wasn't it?
Yes, it's nothing to do with James Corden, unfortunately.
Oh, imagine if James Corden had emailed us. I'd be so happy.
I will show you, Lewis, the comment here.
Oh my God, that's like your entire phone.
So let me just clear my throat.
Are you going to read the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm going to read the whole thing.
Okay, who's it from?
Andy Hello 23.
Has he like got some facts for us?
He's got something for us. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
strap
myself in for this then.
Okay. The Montauk Project is beyond most to understand, and unless you experienced what the texts were about, what the texts were around back then, and what they did to people, you will never understand. It's very much a Montauk truther here. Okay?
Yeah. Also, I feel like he's taken us a little too seriously.
Yeah, he's kind of annoyed in this that we didn't take it seriously. He says, Al Bielek and Preston Nichols are the only two people I have ever heard that spoke about mind control as it was back at the time of end of Cold War. I became a target of that tech in 1992. And they were the only two I have ever heard talk about the techs. the closest version of the text with relation to what mind control texts were at the time. So as you can see, there's either a translation issue or there's a bit of rambling going on here.
Yeah.
I'm barely scratched the surface of this, okay? Today, these texts are far too subtle for any of you to ever know you become a target. In 1992, when I became a target, these texts used a lot of force. That probably gave people like me brain damage.
You can say that again.
As you really knew back then if you were a target. The text probably that Alan Preston spoke of went live at the end of Cold War and was one of the reasons the Cold War ended. Apparently.
That's a stretch.
This tech going live was what I became a target of and have lived with ever since. I can tell you with absolute 100% fact that the mind control people are beyond a doubt absolutely evil and are more than capable of doing such horrors to people as these people spoke about. Thoughts so far, Lewis?
It sounds batshit insane.
Yeah.
Also sounds like somebody who maybe have done something bad and doesn't want any of the blame for it.
Potentially. What Alan Preston spoke of was probably truth in fiction form, as the real project was probably worse, as these texts were back then were brutal. So do you remember they presented it as fiction that could be facts or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's basically saying they're telling truths in a fictitious way.
If you're telling truths, if you've got a real story, you're going to make a fiction about it. Surely you'd exaggerate,
rather than
not under exaggerate.
Exaggerate. Like I said, I became a target in 1992 as a kid, and they probably did some brain damage to me as they used a lot of force back then.
All right.
Today, the texts are far too subtle for you people to know you're a target. So he's repeating himself again.
So,
here.
do you think we're targets?
I am sure there was some sort of experiment there, and it was probably worse than these guys said. Are we the guys? Am I the guys?
Or is it?
One would assume these people did not care about them speaking, as it was so far out that most people would not listen. Oh, that's Preston and Al talking about it. So it's okay for them to talk about it because it was already... we can only talk about what we can prove, and we cannot prove aliens played a role. Right, so we're getting there.
We can only talk about what we can prove. He just said that.
We can't prove that aliens played a role. We can absolutely know that mind control text part and the Montauk chair part, and then he's written in brackets, they do this to people remotely, i.e. use people remotely against their will, and do not sense a person in a chair as they can remotely pick up your energies. So the mind control part plus the Montauk chair parts are very real, but obviously moved on since. He's never closed that bracket, so I'm just going to assume that's where it closes there. People today and in future will never really know they are targets or whatever in these texts, as they are far too subtle now. So enjoy living in your total ignorance, and respect to Al Bielek and Preston Nichols, two very intelligent people who were the only two humans I have ever heard explain the text that related to my own experience of mind control. The MK Ultra stuff was just a smokescreen, as the stuff that I became part of was light years in front of that, and like the stuff Al and Preston spoke of.
Wow. I wonder how much of that he believes.
Yeah, I mean...
Also, I
I don't know what to say to that. Really.
He doesn't sound...
I hadn't read it all the way through. I'd kind of just...
He doesn't sound like our usual...
No, I imagine most of you guys listening wouldn't, be of the same opinion as...
which means he's probably searched for the Montauk Project and came across our episode.
And that's why... we've been putting stuff, not that, but part of the reason we put stuff on YouTube is because you get a kind of different demographic on there.
Yeah.
Especially when you tag things CIA and conspiracy, as we did with that one.
Wow, he's really gone for it.
Yeah.
Although he's also just rambling and repeating himself.
And we had another lovely one at one point about Project Almanac, but it was just a guy being like, I really enjoyed this kind of thing. We don't get that many comments on the YouTubes, but when we do, I try and read them out if they're interesting. If they're not just like, if they're not just this was good. But yeah, that was it. It was interesting, wasn't it? Well, maybe the wrong word, but
we'll have to send that on to Kane as well, because obviously he's part of that episode.
Absolutely. I was almost going to wait until Kane came back, but I didn't know when that was going to happen. So I thought I might, while it's hot off the presses,
we'll stick it in our little chat. We've got the three of us.
The Montauk Boys.
The Montauk Boys.
But yeah, if you want to get in touch, there's many ways to do that. But before, we'll just say thank you very much for listening to the episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, you can tell your friends and family, pass it on to them.
Get onto your podcast listening app and give us a 5-star rating, which is, as we mentioned last week, now Spotify's included.
Super easy, really easy to do. Press some dots or whatever at the top and do a review. But if you want to send an email like, well, not quite like those, maybe something a little bit different, you can contact us at theprojectpod@gmail.com. All our socials, we're either the Project Project or the Project Pod. So if you just search the Project Project, you should find us. Otherwise, the link tree, which is in the episode description, will take you to a lovely tree, not unlike the world tree in the Thor films. You can go to different realms. You can go to the realm of Facebook, realm of Instagram, the terrible realm of TikTok, which is Lewis's domain.
That would have been a really good way of describing it had we done a film like Thor.
Yeah, but okay, so it's like Hong Kong and there's different islands.
There's
different
each island districts.
And the district that Lewis is the inspector of is TikTok. I only say that because Lewis has been handling that because I have no idea what's going on there.
I don't really have a great idea. I'm not down with those kids.
It was the latest one we added on, and I said, you know what, Lewis? You're a year younger than me. You can handle it.
I still haven't fixed my laptop. I know I can do that one from my phone. So
that's mainly it then.
That's it.
I just thought I'd just let you get on with it. But yeah, so thanks very much for listening. If you've got any suggestions for episodes, hit us up on any of them. We've got hopefully a report coming next week. We'll see how the research goes. So you might have a week off, Lewis.
Yeah.
But it means we have to get a guest involved. So if you've got any ideas for guests that we can,
well, it's largely based on what you're doing your report on.
Yeah, but I mean, if anyone's got any particular favourite guests they want back, even if it's not in time for this recording, it'd be good to know who we liked. So I think everyone enjoyed themselves who came on. I think people are quite keen on doing different things. I think we're going to stick to reports with guests because they've got a bit more to say there. But but we'll see you next week. Hopefully with a report if I can get my shit together.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, my mind was thinking something else then.
You're thinking about reports. You've got a report in the go as well, haven't you?
I have got one in the go, and I've got another one planned. But that's something we need to talk about off pod.
Yes. As always, we kind of start doing the off pod admin on
we're like,
on mic.
Yeah, we should do that. And you need to stick that stuff on there, and I need to do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lewis, I put all those things on that now.
Yeah. But as always, it's. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
It's been a pleasure.
And I'll hear you next week.
Hear you in the weekend.
Bye.